Alright, today we will solve Battle 2 of the Microsoft Excel World Championship. So this is a fairly simple case, Sommelier. Well, simple in the sense that all it is two sets of data, customers and wines, and you are essentially matching up the best wines for each of the customers. So they have preferences on these metrics here, and you want to match them to the best fit for the metrics in the wines. Now, because this is just a big data pulling case, you can actually do everything in one cell if you're good enough with array formulas, and that's fairly quick. I can do this in about 15 minutes like that. But I find that it's easy to get lost in the formulas, and you have to keep changing the formula for each question. So if you scroll down here, what you'll see is you're more often than not given a customer name, and then you either have to find the result for a specific wine or recommend the best wine. So at the end here you can see it's just customer names we have. So I'm actually going to do this in a slightly different way and just do every single question with a data model. And as you'll see, that builds up to make it really quick to just solve kind of everything in the case. Anyway, let's get right into it. I do use a couple of lambdas with this, but they're ones that I've shown already in the last two solves that I've uploaded. So if you want to see those in more detail, you can go and have a look at those videos. So first of all, how many customers are not listed in levels 2 through 5? So let's do one of my lambdas here. Question 2 is here, so customers in 2 through 5, and we want to find how many of those there are. So let's just do equals rows of unique of this, and that's going to give us 56. So all we need to do is count how many customers there are. So let's do rows again of the customers minus 56, so 44. Then we want to know what attribute number is the most common across customers and wines. So I can just copy this underneath my wines table, use my most of lambda. I'll actually use the most common one, which just gives me the first entry in that, and I can see that it's 92. The most common thing comes up very often, which is why I built a lambda to just do it for me. And then we need to answer question 5 for that. So like I said, right from the start, we are going to actually build a model. So let's say example 1, and that's going to go question 1, and I think that goes down to 20. That was lucky, hit it first time. So this first question you can just do with an index match. It's asking you to just find the attribute number for a wine. Like I said, we're going to kind of try and solve this case for all wines. So I want for every question to have the score for all the wines, and then I'm able to pull the best wine. So let's just set up all the wines here, so I'll just copy it straight in. Let's do our little X lookup to the question number to pull the details for that question. And I'm going to do G to I because I know that that captures everything later on in the case. There's only ever 3 details that you'll get for a question. So let's do that. So what we want to pull here is the body for all of these wines. So let's do X lookup body in this wines table, and let's return the values. And because I've kept the wines in the same order as the table here, I'm going to have the correct values. And then for my answer, I can just X lookup again. There's a lot of X lookups in this case. This wine in this table, and give me the value. Then we data table all of that. And that's question 1. Let's just turn our formulas onto automatic here, so it's a bit quicker for the data tables. Cool. So that's question 1 done. Now question 2, we want the same thing, but we want to pull the value from the customer and do the absolute difference between them. So let's change this to example 2. This is now 21. And I'm going to pull the customer details over here. So X lookup the customer in the customers table here, and give me their values. And then we want the body, so that cell's just moved across, so there's the body number for all the wines, and for the customer we want to X lookup body in the customers to pull the heading value, and we want to return this array here. So body is 96, which is this one. I'll put the headings on here just to make it easier to read. I probably wouldn't do that if I was doing the case for real. So there we go, it's pulled out 96, and then I can just do this minus that cell. It's going to minus off there, and we want the absolute value of all of them. Cool, and then what was the question is to give me the number for the correct wine. The wine's moved across one, so let's move that, and there's our answers. So from this point on, those first two questions took a little bit of time, and it's probably quicker to do them another way, but now that I've built that data model, you'll see how this now becomes a lot quicker. So for level 3, we want the wine with the smallest absolute value difference. So let's do example 3, and this is going to be 41. So this time we want the sweetness. These cells keep moving back and forth, which is a little bit annoying, but that's fine. So there's our customer details, 89, and we want the smallest wine. So I'm actually going to do a second column in our data table, because this is just from doing the case before. I know that the questions keep flipping between asking for the value and then the best wine. So if we do XLOOKUP minus 999 in this column, and give me the wine, and give me exact match or next largest item, it's basically always going to find the smallest number here. Oh, I don't want to do that, I want to do it as a data table. So then we can just do this data table here, and we have all the wines. Then we want to sum all of the values between the person and the wine and do the absolute value difference between them. So we no longer need this individual value. Example 4, this is going to be from 61. Okay, so we have the customer details here, and what we want this time is we just want those values minus the values of the wine. And as I drag this down, it's going to drag everything down. We actually want the absolute values of them, so let's do absolute and wrap it in sum. And it's that simple. Just because my wines are in the same order on here, I can drag this formula down and it's going to give me the answer to everything. So this is where this method starts to shine, because I always get the value and I get the best wines. So this should be the answer here. And then for the best wines, all I need to do is do example 5, and this goes from 81, and then this is the best wines. Now we can actually do bonus 5, so if we come up here, we want to do the same thing for every customer and find which wine is most commonly like the best for each person. So let's do a data table on all of the customers. Might as well just do that here. And then we want to know what wine is best for them. So it's going to be, again, the XLOOKUP minus 999 in here, return here, exact match or next biggest item. And then we want this to change as the customer changes. For some reason, I don't think you can do data tables when this is in an array, so I have to like pull this customer out. I don't know if there's a way around that, and then look up the values from that new cell so the data table works. A little bit of an annoying workaround you have to do. But that should give me the best wine for each of the customers. It's taking a little while. And then I can do my most of lambda again to find the most common item, which is this one. So let's put that into bonus 5. Okay, now example 6 is basically the same as what we've already built. Let's just delete this data table out because we no longer need that, and revert to what we had before. And let's go example 6, and we're going from 101. And now it's exactly the same thing, but they want you to convert the scores of the wines into these scores here. So I'll just explain that on this tab. So let's put it over here. I'm just going to delete these out. So I've only copied this column, because I know that I can do an XLOOKUP with exact match or next largest item on this column and pull the score. So if a wine has a score of 3, the XLOOKUP is going to look for 3. It's not there, so it'll find the next biggest number, which is 4, and give it a score of minus 10. So that should work just fine. And what I want to do is I'm just going to remove the sum here so you can see it in action. That's the scores for all the wines. I want to convert them into these scores. So all that is an XLOOKUP. There's a lot of XLOOKUPs in this case. Of this, return this. and then I have them converted. Why has that not worked? Oh, because I haven't done exact match on next large item, so comma, comma, 1. Now it will work, and we will sum that all up. There we go. And then we have again the scores and the wines. So just as a reminder, it's just V looking up the wine, or X lookup, sorry, to give me the score and give me the best wine for each person. So that's level 6 answers. And then level 7 is the same thing, just find the best wine. So that's going to be these. So let's go from 121 and example 7. These are the best wines. And then this last question is asking for the price of the wine. And the price is basically 5 times the wine score plus the price of the wine, and then the best wine is going to be the cheapest one. So obviously the higher the score is away from the desired attributes, the worse the price gets. So you times this by 5 and plus the price of the wine, which is in the same order to here. So this is my new wine prices, and I want the cheapest one, which again is this. So let's do example 8, because this is looking up the lowest value, 141, and that's the case pretty much done, other than the bonuses. I'll do this last one first because it's related to the question we just did, level 8. What is the most expensive adjusted price across all customers? So I actually want to bring this whole customer list back in like we did before and do another data table. So let's do what we did before and look up from this spot, and then we want the maximum price of that. Let's data table it. And then the maximum price across all of them is 997. And then the final question is basically kind of like a cipher. So I'm going to take question 127, I think it was, up to 140. And I'll just do it on a new tab. What the question's asking is to take the first letter of all the answers and offset the letter of the alphabet by the question number. So if we take left of this, I want to offset that letter 127 times, so keep going up. When I get to Z, I will go back to A. So you kind of have to know the trick to doing this. It's essentially that each character has a code underneath it, so you can do code. The code of D is 68, the code of A is 65. So if I minus 65, that's going to give me, whoops, that's going to give me kind of where that letter is in the alphabet. So A is 0, B is 1, C is 2, D is 3. And then what I want to do is add on how many places we move, but do it mod 26. So when I get to 26, it's going to cycle back to 1. So D will become A, so on and so on and so on. I need to then add 65 to it to get back to my character, and then do car of all of that to find out what the letter is, which is A. So then I can concat all of that, and I get my answer. And I know that wasn't the best explanation. I only know how to do that from doing it many times before. So once you've done it a few times, it gets easier. I probably will make that into a lambda at some point because it seems like something that could come up more than once. And that's the case done. So yeah, I feel this approach is a nice visual way to do it, easily debug things, and it allows the questions to lead on one from another through the case. Obviously, the first time you do it, you wouldn't have that approach. You'd probably just do questions one by one and run into the problems of having to keep changing your formulas if you did it all in single cells. But yeah, that's it. One of the more straightforward cases. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you did.